Hey guys, Anna here. Welcome back to Builds with Anna. So today we are in Newcrest and we are building a family home, kind of in a craftsman style build, design, sorry. And this was a house that potentially I wanted to be a lot smaller than it ended up being. But this happens sometimes with my builds where I really enjoy the shape and it just ends up being, I just add to it and it ends up being a lot bigger than it needs to be. So you'll see that here where I originally have this main structure of a piece and then I create a whole long piece that I tack to the end. So in the end, this ends up being a very spacious, I think it's a 3 by 2. Yes, a 3 by 2 bedroom house. And I envisioned this family, a couple with their two sons. So there is both boys, a teenager and a child sim. And with the child sim, I very much use a lot of the little campers kit, and I really focused on creating a space for each sim to where I felt that where I would see them in this house. And the child sim has so many play areas and just so many areas that I feel would match their personality. So yeah, we'll see that shortly where we get into his space. All right, so let's get into this build. So as you can see, we've got our shell and I'm very much working on the roofing and just kind of mapping out the house, going in with porches and what have you. So this is the main shape of the house and it ends up being very, very well, very spacious. It's a very spacious home. It ended up being way bigger than it needed to be, but I ran with it. I always find that, of course I could have made it smaller, but I think once it was furnished, it really did look like a really cohesive house, and I really liked the size of it. The particular lot that I'm using is actually quite a large lot, and it enabled me to have a really spacious backyard. So we end up having a pool, play areas, sitting areas, entertaining areas. And I really do like backyards in The Sims that are a lot larger so that I have those spaces, communal spaces for my Sims. Definitely, this is very much the standard type of family home that I like to build. I like to build a larger build like this. If you were to ever visit my gallery, my Sims 4 gallery profile, you'll see a lot of the builds I do are very similar in size to this. So this is only a 3 bedroom house. If you played around with the floor plan, I'm definitely certain you could probably make this a 4, if not a 5 bedroom house. But to me, I think the rooms were appropriate in size. So yeah, I use a lot of seasons in this build, which is why I've kind of referred to it as a seasonal family home. Yes, because of the use of seasons, but the seasons pack does kind of give you a little bit of a cabin-esque vibe. And I know it very much looks like that with the rocky textures of the foundation with the wood paneling. We do end up changing the wallpaper of the house, the exterior. And in the end, I believe it's a grey tone. We don't use the wood. In the end, yeah, I'm just changing it here. I think it was better suited with a darker roof. So we do go back to a darker roof, as you can see here. Yeah, just going in with those kind of stone steps. Now, here's my favorite part, and that is the landscaping of this house. The landscaping of this house was absolutely beautiful. I was really happy with what I was able to create with this house. I really loved that kind of circle path kind of pebble pathing in front of the house. And I do end up doing like a little kind of faux driveway with a debug car And I just really clutter up the space, and I do a natural path that leads to the back of the house, which, is very common for me to do, but I definitely liked how it turned out in this build. So as you can see, it's just some simple landscaping. I didn't draw out my garden beds in this house. I felt that it looked a bit more intentional to do it naturally. The one thing that I did really well with the landscaping of this house is I picked a few flowers and I just sized up and down and changed the color. So that that really helps if you with landscaping. If you're unsure, just pick a few flowers or a few plants and just manipulate the size and the positioning of those plants, and it's going to change how it looks. You know, so you get a lot of variability with objects in general, with sizing up and down and alt placing. Alrighty, so we are now just working a little bit on the landscaping on the back. As you can see, the same type of plants have been used to the front, so everything looks cohesive. And I've just gone in with the gate. I always find it interesting when I rewatch when I'm editing, and I realize that there will be like one side of the build that's not properly painted. I do go back and fix those. So for the finished build, you will not have unpainted walls, I promise you. In the back, we fully pave half of the side, and that's where I generally put a pool. I like to pave areas where I know I'm going to put a pool. Here is that connection of the front to the back with the pebble terrain paint. Terrain paint is a great alternative to tiling. It's obviously going to be cheaper. So if you're ever doing builds where simoleons, is a constraint, it's a nice little tool to use. And also it kind of, I don't know, it just looks a little bit more, I don't really know how to explain it really, but it has a nice texture to it. It does. And, it's quite easy if you make a mistake. You can always go over with it some dirt or just erase it. And it's not a scary thing at all. It's definitely a tool that I encourage you to embrace. So this is the actual wood flooring we got in the latest base game update that we got a couple of months ago now, I think. Yeah, and I really liked it, the texture of it. So it looks like it's a little bit worn and dated, and I felt that kind of gave a little bit of that cabin-ish vibes that, as I said, it's like seasonal home, and I wanted to kind of play on that. Alrighty, so the floor plan of this monstrosity. So as you can see, as I'm doing it now, I like to have my builds be a little bit of a combination between open and closed in terms of the floor plan. And I like to do little tricks like what I'm doing here with the spandrels. I love the feel that it gives. It gives it like this entryway. And as I said, with it being a seasonal home, a lot of cabins, they often have a lot of wood paneling, and they use a lot of wood throughout the homes, whether it's the flooring, columns, paneling, what have you. So that is why I ended up putting in those spandrels. Just a simple pool right in the corner, a couple of floaties, nothing else to it. So if you are definitely an avid Anna watcher, you will know that when I do backyards, I like to section everything. So in this backyard, you have a little gardening nook, which is what we're doing now. So maybe potentially, as it being a seasonal home, I like to embrace parts of that pack, seasons. So a lot of objects from seasons, and with seasons, it's very much, it does really much go with gardening, and a lot of improvements to the base game gardening skill that was given came along with seasons, and that was really the first pack that really elevated that. So so as you can see, having the gardening, but also having summer activities, fall activities, winter activities. All of that was really important to me in this house because I wanted to have things that kind of, were activities and skills that related to each season of the year, the time of the year. So, as I said, we've got the pool, we've got this very traditional kind of entertainment space, we've got the gardening nook, we've got the you saw it a little bit there, but we do go into it towards the end of the build. But there's like a little play section. Yeah, and very simple, and it's got a lot of communal spaces, a lot of sitting spaces, and I really actually enjoyed how the backyard of this house turned out. I even put like a little custom sand pit. So how you do that is you take the Smooth Keeper base game fencing, you draw a square, and provided you have island living, and that's the key. So the island living sand, if you draw that in the circle in the center of that square that you make, that sand enables toddlers and I believe children's sims to be able to play in the sand. It's like an animation that comes with that, so they can actually do that in that little square that you create. So I think that it's actually quite a cute little custom piece as well. I'm always looking for ways to, give more gameplay to my children and toddler sims. That was the custom car. As you can see, it's just off the side, but it's still kind of, because I didn't want to do a full driveway. I just thought it would be cute to add to the front. So this is that communal sitting area. I'm so sorry about the cheats bar being left there. I must have totally forgot when I was building. Sometimes I get into a groove and I just build. I just do, and I miss that. So apologies if you're seeing that on your screen right now. Just focus on the prettiness that we are constructing here. Alrighty, I do put pets in this home. I believe I have it set for a dog. Yes, a dog. I don't believe I have any cat items, but that's always easy to change. It's easy to put a litter box and what have you, and a cat tree. So in the front, these are massive porches, and I really struggled to how to decorate them. So I thought, we'll just put a little bit of skill items on one end and a little communal space on the other side. And I thought this was really sweet. I used a lot of white and beige, but I wanted to use a lot of wood tones. So like a wooden bench, a wooden rocking chair. Those boho chairs have a lot of wood tones in them. So that was really, that played with the theme as well. And I just layered some rugs. Sometimes it's better to layer a rug than it is to size up a rug. And I felt that was a time where it was better to layer. And it actually looks quite intentional, which is quite nice. Alrighty, we are finally inside to decorate. The decorating of this house was fairly simple. I really struggled with color scheme because I really felt that I wanted to go a little bit more neutral, but then I always get so excited about some of the colors and the swatches that we have in the game that it actually turns into it is still neutral, but there's definitely pops of color inserted around the build. So this house has, I would say, a very generous sized kitchen. I really enjoyed how this kitchen turned out. In the end, we do actually have what we call, I think in America they're called breakfast tables. Generally like a smaller table where it will have like less chairs and what have you. So you have a breakfast table, but then you have a formal like dinner dining table. So we have both in this house. And the main reason we had that is it's a combination of A, we had room, and B, I really struggled to put dining in this house because you had this long hallway, which you're seeing now. So where I put this dining table now is the final spot for it. And I'm still debating whether this looks okay. I think it looks okay. but it was a bit oddly placed, and I felt that having the breakfast table actually in the kitchen, which we do add towards the end of the build, because it was a last spare of the moment decision that I had made. We do end up doing that, and I think that it ties with that space a little bit better. Alrighty, so the wallpaper for the house is this parenthood type light beige tone. I could have gone with a grey that would kind of tie in the exterior wallpaper, but I decided to go with a more muted tan colour, which I thought was quite nice. Now, it's interesting because the kitchen is massive, but the living room is actually quite small in this house. So this little area here that you're seeing is the living room. And I decided to use the Paranormal Stuff couch. I love this couch. And I decided to, as you can see, pops of color. So I wanted some areas to be a little bit more neutral, and then other areas of the house just really resulted in being very vibrant and colorful. And this living space definitely did. It had a lot of the reds and blues and beiges, and again, wood tones, more wood tones. We do end up swapping out the bean bags for, I think it's the Nifty Knitting chairs. I don't think it's the it's either that or the no, I don't think it's the Tiny Living. I think it is the Nifty Knitting ones. So yeah, as I said, it's not much of a living room because in comparison, like the scale, it's a much smaller room. Alrighty, just going around with some paintings. As you know, with some of my builds, I like to jump around. This is all a one-story build. Now, technically, if you download this house and you so wish, you can put a staircase and the actual dormer, which is the top portion of the house, the second story, it is big enough to form a livable space, but I chose to have that be a decorational piece. But if you were to download this build, it will be on the gallery under Antoinette44. It's my gallery ID, which is in the description if you need. You definitely can. You can download this, place some stairs, and you can build in that top portion. You could easily add another bedroom, easily, if you wanted to make this a 4-bedroom home. We are cluttering the kitchen, I believe. Lots of different styles. When I do family homes, I definitely like to give that vibe of, that it's homely. And when I think of that, I do lean more towards cottagecore and just very basic furnishings. I loved this buffet table from Laundry Day Stuff. I just think it's so cutesy. And it worked really well. I liked that there's like little cushions in it. Kind of gives that, implies that you might take a cushion and sit somewhere, or like a throw blanket and what have you. So yeah, we're jumping around a bit. We are back in the living room. I just put like a bookcase. That bookcase, I believe it's from Kids Room Stuff. I think it's so nice. The swatches on it are great. And again, it kind of looks like there's potentially craft supplies already in the bookcase, which if you've got children in the house, it adds to that family home vibe. It makes the viewer go, okay, yes, there are children in this house, and this is why. Also, Kids Room Stuff has the cutest little ottoman. I use it in all my adult rooms. I just think it's such a great piece. Speaking of adult rooms, we are in the master bedroom. So this room is actually quite big for a master bedroom. It does have its own private ensuite, which is the second bedroom of the second bathroom in this house. We use the seasons pack again. So we've got that bedroom set, that nice bed, and I went with a neutral color because, truth be told, I actually don't like the swatches of that seasons bed. And that beige tone is pretty much the only acceptable swatch I like. So that just lent to a more kind of warm tone neutral color scheme for that master bedroom. I'm going to say this again. It is an extremely basic bathroom. Nothing surprising here. We are used to this. I do end up putting laundry in this build because I did find that in the hallway, if you do look at this, the floor plan of this house from a bird's eye view, you'll just see that there's just mountains of space. Mountains of space. So I went with a laundry to kind of, which I'm just doing here, just to kind of add a little bit, another room to kind of, reduce that space, reduce those hallways, because I thought they were just a little bit too spacious for my liking. What do we add? We're just cluttering up. I do, towards the end, actually add a vacuum cleaner as well. I always forget things like vacuum cleaners, wall clocks, and little things like that that really kind of, they're decorative, but they may be a little bit more functional as well. So this is the main bathroom of the home. And I really love this season's bath. I think it's so nice. It kind of has this luxurious vibe to it. But again, it's got those textures, those wood tones, those faux pebbles in the bottom portion of that tub. And the seasons pack, as I said, it's very cabin vibes. So I wanted to carry that along here. You do have a lot of pink accents in this bathroom. Not really why. Maybe for a storyline focus, maybe the mum wanted to add more feminine notes in the build because, she's got boys and she's around her boys all day and she wanted to have a little bit of girly influence injected into the house in some way. So yeah, maybe that was her way of doing that. So this is the teen son's room, the eldest son. And this is I love these high school year kind of rooms that you can build that just have this contemporary, modern feel to it. And this room just was absolutely spectacular for that. I love the dark navies and greys and the blacks. I did envision that this sim would potentially be into sports. Maybe they'd won some awards. I did kind of lead more soccer, but there is a football there as well. I'm Australian, so I know I should probably say football for soccer, but it'll confuse you because there's an American football there as well. So I'm just saying soccer because that's what it is for me. So this industrial loft kit plant item I thought was really cool. And that, as I said earlier, it kind of plays on that contemporary vibe. That maroon red color swatch that we got in high school years in any object is absolutely phenomenal. And I used it in those Art Deco style lamps. Alrighty, so I just realized that, a good way to fill spaces in hallways is easily some form of skill building, a desk and a bookcase, a sitting area. So they're the kind of things that you'll always see in my hallways. So when I'm trying to fill space, unless I intentionally want it to be empty, that's what you're going to see. All right, so there is that breakfast table that I mentioned. I went with the high school years little round table. I thought it was quite sweet because I didn't want it to be too big, but I wanted it to be there to kind of use up a little bit of that space. Now, I put in some school projects because I thought that Parenthood really had some good objects in terms of activities, and I thought that that would be also a good way to use the space because it needs a certain amount of floor clearance and so what have you. So now we are into the youngest child's room, and I went full out with the little campus kit. So this is that little corner where I just put it's like his little playground, and it's got the fort, it's got the dollhouse, it's got the swing set, it's got this cute little play, reading area. I'm just obsessed with doing these for my kids' rooms at the moment, or playrooms. And exactly that, to have a playroom. And also it kind of fit because I kind of envisioned that this child sim would be very much into space. And also, so you can see that with the elements of the spaceships and maybe the solar system and the colors and what have you. And I went with the pets themed curtains because he has a dog, and maybe, his dog is his best friend. I don't know. Alrighty, we're into the tour. So these tours are just simply a little recap of what we have built today. As you can see, I did forget to put a pet bowl in, so I just quickly do that and put a couple of items. You'll always see me do this because sometimes when I move on to another room, I just forget. So there you have it. I really hope you enjoyed this build. Let me know in the comment section down below if you enjoy these more larger family homes. I definitely enjoy building them. They are definitely right up my alley. This is the type of builds that I build, obviously before I had YouTube. This was the type of content that I like to produce, and I think it turned out really well. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.